Government must defend itself. Life and property must be protected. Law and order must be maintained. And murder must be punished. And if the defendants are guilty of murder, either committed by their own hand or by someone else acting on their advice, then if they had a fair trial, there should be, in that case, no executive interference. But a number of men have examined this case carefully and based their appeal for a pardon on entirely different grounds.
Enough of this rubbish, Agent Dell. Let's get serious. That man, John Peter Altgeld, was as un-American as the men he pardoned. Teddy Roosevelt said so at the time. Dishonorable, that's what he called it, impugning our system of justice during a national crisis.
I think that's a bit extreme, sir.
Oh, really? Well, maybe we need a little bit more extremism. You won't advance far in the Bureau with that attitude.
Sir, I don't sympathize with extremists. But if someone isn't guilty, then...
It doesn't matter. When you have a boil, you lance it. Let me bring you up to date. 6 days ago, we began a roundup in 23 cities. So far, we've identified and detained 10,000 communists and anarchists. Now, that's a good start, but we have to do more. We have to build cases and get as many of these revolutionaries and radicals out of the country as possible.
You mean deport them?
Bingo.
So we send Lucy Parsons back to Texas?
Don't be cute, Dell.
Sorry, sir, but she's a citizen. We can't deport Americans.
Citizens? Maybe not, but we can get rid of some foreign reds. And we can put their accomplices behind bars. We have got to break this radical conspiracy.
I understand, but Agent Hoover, we can't...
Special agent. It's a new classification.
Sorry. But due process.
Stop right there before you say something that you will regret. You understand that this comes directly from the Attorney General. Once we're finished with the current phase, we'll worry about how to apply the law. So save your questions. I am here because this city is a hotbed of radical activity. Communism is like a virus, attacking our way of life. You see these cards? Each one bears the name of an infectious agent. And I already have more than 100,000 of them.
I had no idea there were so many.
Few people do. And we're just getting started. Which brings me to you and Lucy Parsons. You haven't gotten very far with her, have you?
I just don't think she knows very much.
Then you're asking the wrong questions. How about Emma Goldman? We know she's working with the communists.
I asked, but isn't Goldman an anarchist?
Your point?
They have very different agendas. They don't even like each other, so I'm told.
That's fuzzy thinking. Emma Goldman, Red Emma, is a known radical agitator, and any investigator doing his job asks about her because she is probably the most dangerous woman in America. We never should have let her out of prison. Look at this. Inciting people against the war, mocking religion, promoting free love and birth control. She may not be a communist, but they've got no better spokesman in this country. Don't you think we should put a stop to that?
Well, Mrs. Parsons claims they haven't spoken for years.
And you believe that? Please. Lucy Parsons is an integral part of the communist conspiracy.
But she's an old woman. My approach is...
Your approach has already wasted valuable government time and made it necessary for me to get involved personally in this matter. From a good family, are you? Liberals? I am constantly amazed at the political naivete of the upper class. Well, let me educate you. Lucy Parsons is a dedicated revolutionary and a direct threat to this nation. There is absolutely no doubt about it. We aren't rounding up radicals for the fun of it. We need records, membership lists, confessions. We are building cases and a base of information, a national index of radical activity. Look, this is a new era. From here, we police the entire nation. Back the team, and you can move up fast. Officer, bring up Miss Parsons. It may not seem like we're still at war, Agent Dell, but we are. Moscow has agents around the world, armed and ready to act whenever the order comes. We just can't wait sitting on our constitutional principles. And we didn't just pick the timing of this operation out of a hat. Our evidence points to plans for a violent uprising between November the 7th, the second anniversary of the Russian Revolution, and yesterday, Armistice Day. You saw the alert. Yesterday, and you should know this, was also the anniversary of the Haymarket executions. Miss Parsons has used this as an excuse to stir up the rabble for over 30 years. But this year, we believe that if she had been allowed to speak, we would have ended up with the kind of uprising that we are seeing in the state of Washington.
Uprising?
Oh, yes. The radicals in Centralia lined their union halls with guns, and when the American Legion marched past, BAM! Yes, bring her in. We'll continue this later. Good afternoon, madam. Let me introduce myself. My name is John Edgar Hoover, and I work for the Bureau of Investigation as Director of the General Intelligence Division. This is a new department with a vital mission.
Oh, I know.
What do you know, madam? That's the question. Let's see. Lucy Ella Parsons, born 1853 in Texas, moved to Chicago in 1874, member of the Knights of Labor, radical pamphleteer, 2 children, founded the Pioneer Aid and Support Association. Let's see, George Markstall, is he your husband?
No.
But you two have been cohabitating since 1910.
Is living together against the law?
Oh, no. The government doesn't care who you choose to fornicate with. But it does care very deeply about plans to overthrow the United States government.
Am I being charged with espionage?
It's an option. I expect that you are familiar with the group known as the Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW. So let's begin there. Agent Dell, what would be your first question?
Well, what do you know about the IWW's plans to disrupt business?
Strikes? They aren't against the law.
True, not since the end of the war.
Irrelevant. When they are part of a larger conspiracy, when radical ideas are being used as an excuse to attack innocent people, that's something else entirely.
Radical ideas? Like justice? A decent wage?
I'm not here to listen to communist propaganda. We know what your comrades want, and we've seen what they can do.
Such as?
Such as fire into a peaceful parade. And don't look so surprised. It happened just yesterday in Centralia, Washington. At least 4 people are dead, including the post commander of the American Legion. That's your wobblies, so spare me.
Sounds very convenient.
Is that supposed to be humorous?
Death isn't humorous. But sometimes it does come at a convenient moment, doesn't it?
For whom, madam?
Now that is a good question. Who benefits and who loses?
Turn the culprits into victims. Clever. Like your husband and his friends. Poor, innocent men wrongfully accused.
Sir?
That's right, innocent.
Please. I don't care what that traitor Altgeld said years after the fact.
Sir, please.
Someone threw that bomb and 7 police officers...
Sir, I have to insist.
What?
Sir, are those chains really necessary? She's not going anywhere.
All right, damn it, take them off. 7 police officers died as a result of that bomb. Are you comfortable? Wonderful. Now, your husband, all of the defendants, had their day in court.
A kangaroo court.
A court of law. Is that what you object to? Law of any kind. The anarchist creed, isn't it? No law, no government, just brute force.
No freedom. The things this country says it's about. But sometimes you have to fight for them.
Fight? So is that why your husband ran after the Haymarket bombing? Hid out in Wisconsin like a coward, afraid to stand up and take responsibility?
Yes, he left Chicago. Because they were arresting every organizer in the city. He was no coward. And he came back in spite of everything.
And why would he do that?
Because I told him. He came back. It might help swing public opinion. Because the children missed him, and I missed him. God help me, I begged him to come back.
Sir, I'm not sure what this has to do with our investigation.
Then let me explain it to you. This is how the communists work. Shift the blame from their actions to the government.
Albert was innocent.
Right. Like the anarchists who bombed the Attorney General's house last summer. Well, fortunately, that one blew himself up. Look, we know there's a conspiracy, and we already have some of the criminals in custody.
Oh? Then why bother with questions? Or a trial?
Tell her, Mr. Dell.
Because we're not in Russia?
Because this is a civilized country.
Because here we get a verdict in the press before we bring out the noose.
Oh, see that? Twist everything. Accuse the accuser. It's brilliant, really, don't you think?
I'm not quite sure what you're getting at.
Never mind. Lucy, you're a bright woman, obviously well-trained. Well, then you are smart enough to know that I can hold you as long as I want until you tell me what I want to know.
Fine, so ask the damn questions.
That's better. Now let's start with your comrade, Emma Goldman. And Mr. Dell, take this down for a statement. You've known Goldman since...
A long time.
How about 18 years ago in 1901?
Yes.
Good. And did you know Leon Jolgosh?
Who?
Who? Well, the man who killed President McKinley in 1901. That's who.
No. Why, for God's sake?
Miss Goldman never talked about him.
Not that I remember.
But possibly.
I don't think so.
Well, he did attend a speech that she gave here.
So?
He was there. And you were there.
And that means something?
Tell her, Agent Dell. You do know, don't you?
Not really.
It means something because several weeks later, Mr. Jolgosh, a self-professed anarchist, at the instigation of Miss Goldman, shot the president in Buffalo.
That's absurd.
Now, the question is, did you see Emma Goldman talk with Leon Jolgosh? But think very carefully now. She clearly inspired his actions. You can help us and help yourself in the process.
You mean lie?
No. We just sign this statement. Admit the truth. Emma Goldman wanted the president dead.
And then? You put her on trial?
Hopefully. Or at least deport her. The problem is her husband and father are citizens. That complicates things. But with proof of her complicity in the assassinations, I know that we can get something done. So how about it?
Are you listening, Agent Dell? This man, this extortionist, thinks I betray a friend to get out of here? Well, I'd rather rot in jail.
Oh, that can be arranged.
The prosecution could not discover who had thrown the bomb and could not bring the really guilty man to justice. And as some of the men were indicted were not even at the Haymarket meeting and had nothing to do with it, the prosecution was forced to proceed on the theory that the men indicted were guilty of murder because it was claimed they had at various times in the past uttered and printed incendiary and seditious